Personal finance and wealth building. What a segue to go into this. And it's just pretty cool, again, how ChatGPT put these in perspective. Obviously, they put it in a particular order in this case.
Yeah.
Real estate being the main case. But now, personal finances and wealth building, and it says the first one here, breaking the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. How many of us hate that?
100%.
Some of us currently in the last 3-4 years have felt that.
Oh, 100%. We're all in that boat.
Because inflation, we're seeing eggs. I mean, Jesus. Tanya don't want to go buy a couple eggs and want to do our own freaking, have our own chicken coop,
Hey, talking about eggs, I should have shorted eggs. I should have betted on the eggs.
You should have, but these are the way things are changing, right? Everything changes and you got to just be very well prepared. Then the next one here is from renter to homeowner, busting myths about down payments and credit scores. Here's the great thing about that is, Brian, you know this better, but there's from renter to homeowners, busting myths about down payments. Is there a down payment required on all these loans?
No, we've explained plenty of times that some of these products don't require a down payment, and I think it's more of the lack of the information that you don't have access to.
That's correct.
That handicaps you from actually taking action or making an informed decision. And I think this year you should take it upon yourself to take a little bit more action and just see where you're at, touch the water, and kind of get a sense for what you're able to do, because a lot of people be surprised when they get, their financials ran and they're like, whoa, I'm actually better off than I thought. And it goes back to that psychological thing that people don't think they can. They need somebody to help them, reinforce that confidence that you can do it. And that's why I feel that, these critical times, you should be taking those options, because it's not going to get easier down the line.
No, it's not. And, here's one of the things I do teach my kids, and I teach all of you guys, everybody that surrounds me, something that I didn't do at an earlier age is utilize your resources. When people say, hey, call me or ask me anything, we always so worried about, man, is it too late? I may not want to ask. Ask.
Yeah.
The whole thing is ask. As a matter of fact, aside from this, I was actually putting up a fan this weekend for Dylan. And I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, well, how do you get this remote to operate that fan? I know I wired everything properly in the fan on top, but I just didn't know how to remote this. So when I'm putting it, the remote worked just like a regular remote.
Yeah.
It didn't need actual hardwire connection. Okay. So I just left the wires and I put the caps on it. And there was 2 black wires and a green. And I was scared to put 2 black wires together. I'm like, boom, I put that thing together. There goes the breakers. I'm going to have to go down there. And like a Dumas, I didn't turn off the breaker like you're supposed to. Instructions say that. But I didn't. It was just me thinking, I'm indispensable.
This makes sense.
Nothing's going to happen. But I'm not going to put 2 black things together. I already know what the green is. That is a ground wire.
Yeah.
I would not touch that. But, it wasn't a Sunday. And I was already getting tired because we had already gone to Home Depot thinking they have the proper product. I had gone already to, first I stopped at Lowe's. That didn't work, so I'm returning something because I have 3 wires from the light switch. Well, this thing had 4 wires.
Yeah, there shouldn't be this much hardware left.
So I couldn't really connect that. I'm like, how the heck am I going to connect that? It makes no sense.
I followed the
tried
instructions.
It did not work. My fan didn't go on. Go to Home Depot. Didn't work. I just didn't see that it's going to work. I went over there. I think I got the proper thing now, and I'm just like, what the heck? The control is actually battery operated, and that's why it didn't require me for it to attach the wires from the outlet.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to use my resource. Screw it on a Sunday. I call my electrician. Thank you, Carlos.
That's what I say.
Carlos. Carlitos, he picked up and I told him, Carlos, I don't get this. How do I get power to that if I have this and it's battery operated? But how do I do this? Do I really put these 2 black things together here? And it goes, sí, mijo. And I'm trying to put the plastic thing to tie both of them, but I didn't want to really touch it. It goes, sin miedo, don't be afraid.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I was scared that something's going to spark. I don't know if you ever had it where your battery dies and you have the car charger right there. You put those 2.
Trust me, I've dropped them.
So I did it. It worked. I used my resource.
I love that phrase that he said, sin miedo. Don't be afraid. And I think sometimes we hold ourselves back, and it isn't until someone who says, don't be afraid, that you have the confidence to pull through. And that's actually very powerful because everyone needs that in their life at one point or not.
Yeah. So that is a myth. You do not require to have a down payment. There is government grants that are out there. We have what's called CalFHA.
Yeah.
The loan gets approved here, and then we send it to CalFHA to see if they'll give you a grant to cover the down payment and at times closing costs.
Yep.
Most of these problems will have a higher interest rate and they have a little more red tape than the regular, because remember, when it comes to finances, it's all about risk, 100%. Right? And so the less skin in the game, the more risk the bank takes. So therefore, they got to get compensated in such a way by giving you a higher interest rate. Yeah. How the norm is.
And that's how they compensate.
But again, we're here as a resource, or contact your local lender and use them as a resource.
Yeah.
Don't be a renter. Go own a home.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to just ask questions, and I think that's going to open up the door a lot for you to be able to understand your situation. I think asking the right question is going to give you the right answers. But if you're afraid or not confident, honestly, just pull yourself together and just take action.
Get it
Sin
done.
miedo.
Sin miedo. There you go. Here's the last one that I do want to talk about. It's VA and military wealth building strategies.
Yes.
I talk about that because we are very passionate here at Mortgage Heroes, to help our veterans create generational wealth, especially for the land they help us protect.
100%.
And so because of them, we're able to do a lot of the stuff that we're doing now. And so I appreciate everything that they do. So how do you build wealth? How does somebody like this, Brian, build wealth, an active military personnel? How do they build wealth using their VA entitlement?
So one of the advantages with the VA loan that many civilians or regular people don't have is the down payment. With the VA loan, you require 0 down payment. And what you're able to do if you're strategic is you can buy a property that's either 1 to 2 units and up to 4 units as well. You could then utilize the rent from each of those prospective units to qualify for the approval. Now, here's where it gets interesting. In about 2 to 3 years, depending on the time, you can refinance out of that. You could then go into a conventional loan and then utilize your VA to wash, rinse, and repeat. Then you can get another property. Same thing, maybe stay in there for another year or 2. And then it's a step up a basis. Hey, I want another house. I got a family on the way. Now I need to think about bigger plans. So then you do that strategy again. And then now you have 2 assets that you've purchased, leveraging your VA entitlement. And now you're able to then say, what house do I want for my forever house?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest advantages that, you could utilize and leverage your VA.
Yeah, and that's great advice. So true. One of the common things that I hear from our active military is, I should have used my VA earlier, right? So you're talking about somebody that was in Virginia, was renting. And I always advise, wherever you're PCSing, utilize your VA. Don't be a renter. Utilize at that point in time. So when you come over here in your PCS, is usually every 3 years.
Yeah.
By the time, let's say you serve 20 years, you could have already owned 4 to 5 homes.
100%.
Depending. And that's the common mistake that I hear a lot of people that get into the business. They're like, why didn't I do that? I should, or somebody should have told me. Well, guess what? We're telling you now. We're telling you now.
Hey, way to alley-oop yourself on that. Yeah. That was good.
And I want to talk about that one because that one was just something that always comes out.